Nintendo Cartridge Society presents NCS Classic Edition, Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Kong Quest, Part 5. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick. Eller is joined as always by my co-host, Mark Mitchell.
Hey, Patrick, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you, Mark?
Oh, man, I'm feeling great because we did it.
Yeah, we literal monkey off our proverbial backs.
Mm-hmm.
We have finished Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Kong Quest. Maybe finished.
Well, I mean, we beat K. Rool.
We rolled credits, baby.
Yeah.
That counts as the end of the game as far as I'm concerned. Now, should we start there? That, like, how much there is left of this game if we wanted to keep playing it? Okay, so in every level of this game, there is a big DK coin. And depending on how many coins you collect, you either do or do not get access to the Lost World at the end of this thing. We collected 7.
Which is bad. That's bad.
I would say bad to average, right? I don't think we were not playing this game with any like illusions of completionism.
No, or even to collect everything in levels.
Right. Not at all. So yeah, okay, we did bad. You're right. we didn't do good. At the end of the game, you see you defeat K. Rool, you rescue Donkey Kong, and you go to. Oh, by the way, you should have finished the game, right?
Oh, yeah.
Listen to this.
Also, Donkey Kong actually is the one that does the finishing blow on K. Rool.
Yeah, we've got a lot to talk about here. So, if you defeat K. Rool, you rescue Donkey Kong, he rescues himself, whatever. Then you go back to Cranky's cabin where he's like, oh, here, let's go check out the Video Game Hall of Fame. And you see like what are those called? Like winner's stand, where there's like the podium, first, second, third place. And you can see the number of coins that Mario, Yoshi, and Link collected, which is all nonsense. But, Mario's got like 36 coins.
It's all like 10. So, like, I think Mario has like 39 or like 49 or something, 35. And then Yoshi is in second place with 25.
Oh, and then Link has 15.
So it must be 45, 35, and 25.
Whatever it is, we were bested by all 3 of them. And I have no desire to go back into this game and find.
No, me either. Although I will say that I had more fun playing this time than I think I have had any time before.
Yeah, I agree.
Even though it was all the same frustrations
Mm-hmm.
of like evil level design.
Right.
Just like blind corners that you're just going around and being like, oh, that's there. No wonder I died.
Or, oh, this is how this mechanic works.
And we were doing save states left and right.
Oh, yeah, we were straight save scrubbing on this.
But it was the most fun I had. And I think part of that is because they introduced some new mechanics here at the end that were actually kind of fun. Like they made the levels fun.
Well, so what were some of your favorite levels in the last set of worlds here?
Even though it drove me crazy, the one where the ground is always rising like a platform and you have to, just like move around on it.
This level is called Castle Crush.
Yeah, Castle Crush.
And it's the kind of level that you see in like new Mario games where like literally the new Super Mario Brothers series. Where like all the characters are standing on a platform which kind of just like rises through a castle and you have to just avoid stuff as it comes at you.
It's kind of like that, except it's so mean.
Oh yeah, it's so mean and so unforgiving, but it also gives you a lot of opportunities to do stuff in different ways. Like there are a bunch of like alternate paths in there that let you transform into the bird, or was there a little
Rambi.
bit where you're Rambi? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we both really liked going back into that level and not going back into it, but just dying over and over again. So needing to find solutions to the problems we were coming up against. And like finding those alternate paths and being the Rhino for a little bit, being Squawks for a little bit.
And there was another level after that where you play as like there's the it's I think you just start out as yourself. But anyways, you play like 3 of the different.
You start off as Mark Mitchell.
And then you play as like 3 of the different animal friends.
Right.
And
is that the toxic tower?
Yeah, maybe that was it. And I liked that because it was the last time you played as them, so it was like a nice send off.
Yeah, that was
you got
kind
a
of
little
nice.
bit of each.
Yeah, I actually think all of the levels in K. Rool's Keep were pretty cool, right? So it starts with the Arctic Abyss, which is a water level. It's got like it has that seal that you have to jump on.
Is that what it started with?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, starts with the levels are Arctic Abyss, Windy Well, Castle Crush, Clapper's Cavern, Chain Link Chamber, and Toxic Tower.
Huh.
Unless this list is nope, it's not alphabetical, so it's got to be the first one. Maybe that's not right.
I don't think that's right.
So what was the first one? Clapper's Cavern, maybe?
Yeah, I think so.
It doesn't matter.
And then Windy Well was second.
Windy Well was definitely second. Windy Well I thought was cool.
I like that one too. And it like took the wind blowing mechanic of an earlier level that I hated in that context, but really liked when it was applied here because it just worked in one direction.
Right.
It wasn't trying to screw with you.
Right. In fact, it gets you to the next part of the level. So the mechanic here is that you're in a well. It is a vertical level. And every now and then there is an updraft that carries the monkey characters up. And of course you have to dodge between whatever, so that the monkeys don't die. But it was a little like there's some of that design. I'm like, you don't know that the wind is going to take you until like you jump and it starts to take you. But you get deep enough into the level and you're like, I bet if I jump right now, it's going to like lift me up.
And they also switched up the level design in ways that I hated, like the one where you have to race with squawks.
Yeah, so that level is called like Screech's Sprint. Where so this is the one level in so okay. The way that the end of the game here is structured is that you're mounting an attack on K. Rool's Keep and you get to the end of it and there's like what appears to be a boss fight, right? You just go into it and it's just Donkey Kong being held aloft by he's like tied up and your monkeys can't help but celebrate before they untie him. Monkeys, come on. And then K. Rool swoops in and drags him away and there's only like so that leads you to another map, right? And in the new map, there's only one world, and that's one level, and that's the Screech's Sprint is the name of this level, which is half kind of normal platforming bramble level, and then half race between Squawks the parrot and Screech the some other kind of bird. Mark and I were getting frustrated on this one.
Hated it.
I don't know that I did hate it. Like there's some I liked finding like the hidden shortcuts in there. It was frustrating to have to like do it over and over and over again. But I don't know. There's something that I really like about just like learning the way through the course, learning where the shortcuts are, learning where the secrets are, and then just like executing on it perfectly. Again, I feel like it felt more like Battletoads than like Donkey Kong Country. So I'm gonna stick with that theory that this is a stealth sequel to Battletoads. What was frustrating you about that level? About Screech's Sprint?
It just seemed like I don't know. It just seemed unfair. You just have to like you keep dying, and it's like the worst Mario Kart AI, like rubber banding AI, where it doesn't really matter how far you get ahead.
Yeah, well, it's also it sucks to see the other bird just like fly right through the bees. You're like, come on, I gotta go around these bees. The least you can do is also go around the bees. But no, he flies right through. Impervious.
So there's at the end when you're at Cranky's cabin, he says that Donkey Kong is his grandson.
Okay, we're gonna get into this.
We
now?
are gonna get into this.
All right,
because I've been thinking on it.
Okay,
since the credits rolled, and does that tell us anything about
who Donkey Kong
is? Like which Donkey Kong it is? Because if it's his grandson,
right?
Does that mean that Donkey Kong would be his like Donkey Kong from the original arcade Donkey Kong game would be his son, and this is Donkey Kong Jr.? which was your original pitch, right?
So my original hypothesis was that Cranky Kong is Donkey Kong, like the original Donkey Kong, and the Donkey Kong that we know from the Donkey Kong Country games is Donkey Kong Jr. But I think what it probably is that the original, 1982 Donkey Kong is Cranky Kong. That still holds. And then there's a generation that we don't know. We only know Donkey Kong Jr.
The missing Kongs.
Right. The missing Kong generation. And then the Donkey Kong that we know in Donkey Kong Country is Donkey Kong the Third.
So where does Junior does not factor? He's part of the Lost Generation?
Yeah. He is the Lost Generation.
Well, then where did this Donkey Kong come from?
Well, what do you mean? From Donkey Kong Jr.
So he's not missing.
But we don't see him anywhere in this game is what I'm saying.
Oh, I see.
So like the only games that Donkey Kong Jr. that character appears in are Donkey Kong Jr. and the original Mario Kart, which has Donkey Kong Jr. in it. In all subsequent Donkey Kong Country games, the character called Donkey Kong is the grandson of Donkey Kong.
That makes me feel uncomfortable for some reason. Like, I think you're right.
Right.
But it's
what makes you uncomfortable about it? Do you not
I don't know.
You don't like that we don't know where this generation of Kong is?
That, and I also don't like that I guess he's still Donkey Kong if he's like Donkey Kong the Third.
Right.
But it's just, I guess I was operating under the assumption that he was the Donkey Kong.
I am the Donkey Kong.
And that was that.
Maybe it's a title, right?
Donkey Kong?
I am the Donkey Kong.
Like Cesar?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And he's
I'm going to have to mull this over.
Taking it over from his... Here's the real thing, is that we have not seen Donkey Kong Jr. at any age other than baby age. We've only ever seen him wearing a bib.
I know. I find this disconcerting.
I wonder what happened there.
Well, I just wonder why they decided Donkey Kong Jr. was no good.
That they just tossed out the character?
Yeah, like that girl from Family Matters.
Yeah. No, it's tough. I mean, some characters just don't work. Not all characters have the magnetic appeal of Waluigi, Mark.
That's a good point.
I still think that we need to have a Lost Generation of Kongs game.
Yeah, Donkey Kong Other M.
Donkey Kong what?
Other M.
Oh, Donkey Kong Other M.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. Other K. Here's something that makes me uncomfortable. The Kongs are they're referred to as a clan.
With a K.
With a K. I don't like that.
And Dixie.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem like maybe this is, in addition to being a stealth sequel to Battletoads, is also a stealth alt-right game.
I don't think we can consider any of this too much because they're mixing species of monkeys and apes and chimpanzees and they're...
Right. Well, right. I agree. And I think, but see, this is a conversation that you and I had earlier. Diddy and Dixie are the same kind of monkey.
They're chimpanzees.
I
think, yeah.
And Donkey Kong and Cranky Kong.
Presumably gorillas,
yeah. And also like Funky fits into that as well. And Wrinkly and Swanky. They're all the same. They're all gorillas. Right?
I really don't know.
I think they're all the same species, and then Diddy and Dixie are not related. They're just part of the clan, the Kong clan. Let me ask you this, Mark. The baby Kong in Donkey Kong Country 3, what's his name? Is it Kitty?
I think it's Baby.
Baby Kong?
I think so.
Okay, is there a Kitty, Kiddy? Is there a Kitty Kong?
I don't think so.
Because that comes dangerously close to being KKK as well.
Maybe that's why he's not Kitty Kong. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure Miyamoto would just tell us that Kongs are not apes, monkeys, or chimpanzees. They are just Kongs.
That's right, and that he is the lost generation of Kong.
Yeah, I'm positive he would tell us that.
Those are words of wisdom.
Cat of nine tails, hands down worst enemy in this game.
So let's talk about this enemy a little bit,
I think we have previously.
but let's just refresh people.
Yeah.
It is a big blue cat.
Uh-huh.
It's a skinny, weird-looking cat.
It's really ugly, unfortunate looking.
Really unfortunate looking. Has like giant. It almost looks like a Get Fuzzy design. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
But and it's called Nine Tails, but I swear it has more like 30 tails. And it spins around and like grabs you and throws you. It's a stupid looking enemy, and I don't like fighting it.
And it doesn't show up that often.
Mm-hmm.
But when it does, it's really annoying.
Yeah, when it does, it shows up just long enough to like throw you into a patch of spikes, and then you die.
Runner up for worst enemy in this game is Cloak with a K, the sentient shirt.
Right. It's like it's a magical shirt. So we we discovered this thing's name while we were doing one of the Swankies game show things. And he asks, "What's the name of that shirt?" Well, how does he describe it?
It's like haunted,
Yes,
right?
it is haunted shirt.
Kremlin, or what are they called?
Yeah, Kremlin is right. Kremlin. There are a lot of things we had to unpack here. But yeah, we had choices of what the thing's name was, and Cloak with a K was one of the options, and we were like, that's it. That's the one that's dumb enough to be this character's name.
I realized at the end credits when they're all parading by that it has googly eyes in the collar.
Like buried down in the collar.
So like
of the
where
shirt?
like the black part is,
Yeah.
right? Where like the neck would go,
Yeah.
like the shadow, there's like two like googly eyes in there.
Boy, that's weird.
Dumb.
Let's talk about the parade of enemies and animal friends and Kongs at the end of this game. What's the point of this?
I feel like that's a pretty common mechanic or like way to end these earlier games.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think it is common, but like while we were watching it today, I made the comment like, I can't believe this game thinks we care about this at all.
Well, I think we are like we did not enjoy this game. Right?
Yeah.
But like when I was a kid and I beat like Super Mario Brothers 3 or Super Mario World or another game that had this sort of thing, I liked it. I watched it. If I liked this game, I think I would have been fine with it.
I think just having the enemies like parade across the screen, I think that's too little. I feel like that's still not, like, 'cause I remember this happens at the end of the original Donkey Kong Country as well. And I like the music in that one. But like it's just pointless. Like the characters just move across the screen, and if there's no walk animation, they just sort of glide.
I feel like it's designed so you have like fond memories, because occasionally there'll be enemies that you were like, oh, I forgot that was in this game because we didn't see it very often.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I think it's designed to be like, oh yeah, that was fun.
Oh yeah, I had fun doing this.
Yeah, except we didn't in this case.
Right. Yeah, I guess that's fair.
So it was just a reminder of like all the enemies we were like, oh yeah, there's that dumb piranha that we really hated.
There's that cat of nine tails we hated so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there were two piranhas that it paraded out. We couldn't decide which one was the one we hated.
There is a level in this last batch of levels that we played that has, we had talked about earlier, there's like a level with the piranha, and as soon as you fall into the water, the piranha gets you. Well, there was another one of those,
but it was only for like the first part of the level,
and it wasn't that bad.
Yeah,
like it was like because I did fall in, and you wouldn't necessarily always immediately get grabbed by it.
Right. Yeah, it's weird that the like better designed levels are at the end of this game, and they weren't appreciably harder than, levels in like World 2.
No, they were just more fun.
Yeah. And more varied, really. Yeah, it's weird. This game is so backloaded that I think it has all of its best ideas at the end. And they don't know anything about like creating a difficulty curve. They're like, the first world is easy and everything else is hard. Everything else is too hard. I also in the last world, that's when we were noticing new pieces of music, and we're even kind of grooving on some of it. So yeah, I don't know. I think I get a little bit more why people say that this is like their preferred Donkey Kong Country game. I still think the first one is better. And excuse me, and the modern Donkey Kong Country games I think are both better.
Yeah, I think the modern Donkey Kong Country games take a lot of these ideas and just make them more fun.
Yeah, and certainly more spectacular.
Do you think that you would I don't know. So I haven't played through the original Donkey Kong Country for a few years,
Mm-hmm.
and I wonder if it actually is very good.
Uh, I will tell you that I'm not interested in finding out.
Yeah.
I'm happy with my memories of Donkey Kong Country the way they are.
Yeah, same here. Especially after playing this, I'm like, maybe it's best to not go back.
So one of the things that we both noticed, kind of late into this game, is that Dixie doesn't control as tightly as Diddy does. Or there was something about the way that she controls that you and I weren't. We just weren't executing as well with her as we did with Diddy.
Yeah, given the opportunity, we would always switch over to Diddy,
Right, which is crazy because she's got that like the jump assist.
which came in handy a couple of times in these last few levels.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, we are mostly using Diddy whenever possible.
Right. Well, I mean, and maybe that's part of, we weren't ever really exploring the maps for the coins or any collectibles. We just weren't doing it. And maybe having her ability to float further is necessary to get to those places. And we were just like, nope, not a priority for us. And therefore we condemn Dixie. We say, no, Dixie, we don't like you.
I guess in general, my thoughts are like, we've talked about Dragon Quest games and like other game remakes,
Mm-hmm.
and how the ones that are done well are when they develop a game that you like how you remember it versus how it actually is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's how I feel like the Donkey Kong Country Returns and Tropical Freeze games are. They are a good like approximation of how we remember Donkey Kong Country
Right.
versus how it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I think if I had played a lot of 2 as a kid, I would like it more because I would have like had some of that muscle memory and I
Right.
would have that nostalgia, but coming at it with basically fresh eyes, yeah, I kind of think it's like they like swung for the fences, but I don't think it's very good.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't even know if it is, especially compared to the original Donkey Kong Country. It's not enough of a leap forward to like the game that is swinging for the fences is the original Donkey Kong Country, and then this one is just like minor improvements or changes on that. Um, so yeah, I mean, it doesn't even feel like it has that ambition on its side. But if this game were all by itself, first of all, we would be like, who are these characters? Why does everyone look like this? Um, but that then I could see us being like, oh yeah, that it was something that they tried and is unfortunately an artifact of its time. I still feel like it is unfortunately an artifact of its time, but not really one that I would recommend. So if you've been playing along with us for the last 12 weeks, thanks. But and sorry.
Well, I mean, I would genuinely be interested in hearing from people who really love this game.
Yeah.
To explain to me why.
And not in like a combative way.
No, just like in a way like because I know this game is well regarded. And I guess I'm just not seeing it on my playthrough.
Yeah. Yep. Though by the end I was having fun with the game by the end of it for sure. Just I feel like there is an easy way to update these games. Get rid of lives. Have some way to see in each level, what you've collected in it and what you haven't collected.
Well, the one that matters, the DK coin,
Yeah,
that one does tell you.
that one does tell you, but everything else not. And if you're going for completion, you're gonna want that information. Also, just more checkpoints in the levels. There's no reason to be stingy with that. We all just want to have fun and get through the game and see what there is to see. What else do you think would make this game more fun? Do you have any other like pitches for improvement on the game?
I don't know because like what I want to see from it is kind of at odds with what the game is. Like, I want to see platforming that makes sense instead of platforming that you're just like kind of going into a blind.
Yeah.
It's almost like a Twitch platformer, in the sense that, you're like doing it and then it's because there was one level that we played through where we almost made it through without dying.
Yeah.
Like in this last batch of levels,
Yeah.
there was one that we almost made it through without dying once. And it wasn't because the level was like laid out very clearly. It was just we were like really in the groove.
Yeah.
And like the platformers I enjoy, it you still have to like have your finger on the triggers, but it's a little more clear, like, ooh, what's coming up next.
Yeah, I do think this game could do a lot better job of forecasting what is going to be a problem, what isn't going to be a problem, and like where you need to react. And I mean I think some of that could just be, zoom that camera out a little bit.
Yeah, but
so you can see more level ahead of you.
But I just feel like that's not the game they wanted to make.
Yeah,
because those types of platformers already existed.
Yeah,
and they purposefully went a different way.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, okay, maybe there's just no improving this game. Okay, so I think that mostly wraps up our conversation of Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Kong Quest. Hopefully you had fun playing it with us. We are going to put this feature on hold for a little bit. It's going to come back. I don't know what we're going to play next or in what format we end up playing it. But if you have any suggestions or anything that you'd like to hear us talk about in the future, game-wise, or any ideas for how the NCS Classic brand continues forward, always shoot us an email at nintendocartridgesociety@gmail.com or follow us on Twitter. We're at NinCartSociety, and we're on Facebook and all of that. Thanks.
What's a Creative Podcast Network?